Cheap sleeper cars with unlimited tuning potential. Hello, welcome back to MIA Luxury Cars. Today we are going to talk about cheap performance cars that can easily be molded. Let's go! Lexus IS300, a jack of all trades that's got style, luxury, base performance, and the ability to hit rockets like speeds. Yes, the Lexus IS300 has kind of become this legend in the tuner car community, and this Lexus Land Missile has that all-important sports car requirement, rear-wheel drive, and with that power going to the back wheels. You're guaranteed hooning without any modifications. But let's move on to the 2JZ. Yes, the 2JZ, if you take the rear wheel drive and tunability of the 2J, you got the perform formula for a seriously kick-ass drift machine and got a touch of IS300's interior. Because it follows the typical Lexus ideology, specifically luxury touches throughout with a dash of sports car attitude. Unfortunately, it wasn't all that successful, but that's fortunate for you because this means that you can get the IS300 for cheap and build it into the ultimate luxury sleeper with Toyota reliability. You could be dusting fools and with a badass 6-banger for just 7,500 bucks on Auto Tempest. Infiniti G35, a car with the infinite possibilities. That's right, we are talking about the G35. The 350Z is an obvious choice. It's established itself as a JDM legend, thanks to the Fast and Furious, Need for Speed, and many other tuners and racers who've made the 350Z platform their platform of choice. But let's say that you want that performance with just a very small part more luxury. The Infiniti G35S got you covered. Since the 350Z chassis has been around since 2002, it is a tried and true platform that sets the basis for the upcoming 400Z, and guess what? You can expect the G35 to have the exact same performance, prowess until hell freezes over. It's just got goods of a chassis, and with a few mods, you can be your own drift king at your own abandoned parking lot, and maybe also add a little tuner style to your ride. Because sharing a chassis and engine with a 350Z also means you get the same aftermarket support. So expect to hit some seriously high numbers with just a couple of supporting mods, and if you hire Fired Up, Google it'll give you, and it will guide you to the fully fledged guides on how to build your G35, and here's one for 9K. Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. Let's talk about something that's a little bit more suited for the red, white, blue attitude. It may be ugly, but you can't deny the flame-spitting performance of the Pontiac Firebird. Specifically, let's talk about the Firebird from 93 to 2002. Since you know the classic ones from the 60s and 70s are pretty much the polar opposite of cheap cars, and yet this one of the many ugly duckling muscle cars from the 90s and early 2000s era. It was at that time that all of these manufacturers tried to bring back the classic 60s and 70s styles, but they definitely missed the mark, and the 4th Gen Firebird is just as ugly as its Camaro stablemate. But it packs in with a classic American V8 under the hood, which is at least good for power, and that's a good thing because hopefully you can squeeze out enough power of your but ugly Firebird so that no one will see a speed by, or maybe you just want people to see your sweet mullet blowing and wind. And yes, I agree, no one can deny that the T-tops are cool. It's just a fact, and a Corvette and V8 shoe-hoarded under the hood means you can mod the crop of these things. You can get all of these sweet stars and glory for under 10K. Nissan Sentra SE-R. Let's travel back to the land of the rising sun for a car that you may not remember. Like they say, be careful who you call ugly in high school. Because the Nissan Sentra, yes, it's back, and it's back to sweep you off your feet. I bet you never thought you'd hear that, because the Nissan Sentra is the national car of your high school history teacher. In a car you'd never expect on a list of super car slayers. It's inoffensive and doesn't make a fuss about anything and blends into daily traffic traffic as effectively as a Corolla. But after being just good enough, Nissan decided that they wanted to up the ante for some reason and pump some extra life into that everyday sedan. The Sentra became the SER, a sleeper out for blood. The larger engine and reworkings around the underpinnings turned the SER into a straight-up sports car killer, and the SER Spec V raised the bar even further with more aggressive suspension, more power, and a 6-speed manual transmission. And this is literally about as far as you possibly could get from the boring commuter that spode it. And they are going to be cheap too. Plus, there is a huge aftermarket that will put you on the modding track towards hellish levels of power. Yes, believe it or not, some people are pushing close to the 600 horsepower from their Sentras. That's more power than like a new Mustang, and you can even drive it around crowds. So, what did we learn the next time you see a plain little looking Nissan in traffic? Take a second look, because it may be a sleeper ready to take down the biggest prey, and this later model Spec V is just 6,000 bucks. BMW 3 Series. We can't have a performance car list without mentioning the Germans, and with the E30 pieces and prices on the rise and continuing to go up, the E36 is becoming the new classic BMW sports car. The E36 3 Series blasted out of BMW factories in 1992, and this beautiful boxy design carried the 3 Series over from the E30 until the E46 to took over the new millennium. While the M3 remains the team to beat for the 3 Series performance, the lower trim levels can actually give you a great platform for supercar slayers, and that's all thanks to the battery smooth, naturally aspirated inline 6 that gives you the power of the delivery that you expect from a 3 Series. Plus, you can get it mated to the manual transmission with a couple of bolts on that will get you way past M3 horsepower territory. Then you're ready to go forced induction, add 1 or 2 term skis, and you'll be well on your way to chasing down supercars at stoplights. With the E36 prices being pretty reasonable right now, it's definitely up there for one of the best ideal deals. Dodge Neon SRT-4. Let's talk about the Dodge Neon. This trashy looking car from the Dodge brothers has to be one of the most unexpectedly awesome front-wheel drive cars coming out of the American manufacturer or three. The Chrysler Dodge Plymouth Neon came into the production with a serious identity crisis in 1994 and as low as a low-cost economy car. Although what's worth nothing is that the Neon concept car actually had sliding suicide doors, which is pretty cool, and it kind of seems like some exes of Chrysler wanted the Neon to be the unamusingly badass car that it would eventually become. They introduced the SRT-4 back in 2003. Out of the factory, the SRT-4 had a turbocharged 4-cylinder and a 2.25-inch exhaust with 2 resonators with no muffler. The SRT-4 was a class leader when it came out, and because it's been around for so long now in the marketplace, and an aftermarket scene for the Neon straight up massive. And the best part, like most other cars on the list, you can fly under the radar on your daily commute. But the two tragedies as to why these cars keep climbing in price is 1, you really can't find one stock anymore, and 2, they had relatively low production numbers. So the SRT-4, especially a clean one, is becoming harder and harder to find. And it seems like each and every day, these things continue to go up in value. Mercedes-Benz C63 AMG. A C-Class car AMG as a cheap supercar killer, you have got to have lost your mind. While you'll have to travel slightly outside, you get the 2008 C63 AMG. It's an absolute beast right out of the gate. That hand-built V8 makes some great power straight off the showroom floor. Horsepower is torque, and the C63 has 443 foot-pounds of it, which is enough to tear most other cars on the road apart. And if you think about it, you're getting a luxurious super sedan with insane power for the same amount you could invest in a cheaper alternative. The C63 doesn't boast about the supercar crushing power. When you find out one is for $16,000, yes, it's a little bit more than the rest, but think about what you can get for that price. MazdaSpeed 3. The Mazda 3, like any other cars on the list, started as a point A to point B commuter car. But Mazda has always had this uncanny ability to take mundane commuter cars and scrape every bit of fun out of them. And even the enthusiast remembers Mazda for that rotary Wankel engine. The car that is always the answer of the MX-5 Miata, both of which have long-standing line ages and impractical applications. But the Mazda 3 platform was a little bit different because it gave Mazda the ability to apply some of their sports car knowledge to something you could actually take to the grocery store. The first Mazda 3 Speed was brought into production in 2003, and it was a compact wagon with a big attitude and manual transmission only. So if you wanted to get a fast Mazda that was hot hatch, and you have to get one that was practical and driver focused, which is not necessarily a bad thing, and you got 263 horsepower and 280 foot-pounds of torque in a Mazda. A MazdaSpeed 3 just be one of the best cheap performance bargains out there. BMW E92 335i. This is one heck of a performance sedan and coupe, and actually convertible as well, because the BMW 3 Series is not on the list once but twice because it's a budget supercar slayer that you just can't deny. The E92 matured and oh so well. The 335i is a touch below and the M3 but can easily be tuned into a German giant slayer. The 335i with the N54 is an inline 6 with a little special bonus thrown in. Not just one, but two special bonuses. Two Terp skis are bottled onto the sweet inline engine, and this means out of the gate, you're already getting 300 horsepower at the same amount of torque, and if you bolt on a few mods, you're already hitting the M3 numbers in no time. There's a reason why this is called the German 2JZ, because you can hit some really insane numbers pretty easily, and it's also quite the drift missile. So if you want to get into the drifting, the E92 platform is actually a great chassis. But just like everything, let's settle down because there's a catch. This particular BMW engine has proven to be quite temperamental, even without any mods. The 335i needs some proper maintenance to run smoothly, and if you tack on a few too many mods or just a few mods, you might be heading down headache lane. But still, the E92 is sexy. It's smooth looking and has all the right stuff to send your performance to the next level. They're still relatively cheap since they sit between the too old to be expensive but too new to be classic category. What do you think, guys? Which one is your favorite cheap supercar? Let us know in the comment section below, and thank you for watching.